Y'all, this cast is so they are messy. They cannot shut up. Like, what is with them talking so much, telling powers and stuff? Like, we're gonna get to it. But shout out to y'all as always for showing love to the videos. Y'all been consistent. Keep thumbsing up the videos. Let's try and hit like 1 to 200 likes on the video. Let's do that. Keep subscribing if you are new. Do that. Share the video. Be in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. This episode was good. It was good. We got a good HOH. An HOH that I feel like is not going to be scared to make moves. We'll see at the end of the week. I'm about to get back into watching the feeds for real, for real. Like, I've been paying attention through social media, like the little clips and stuff, but I haven't actively watched. But I'm about to jump back in. When I get back from vacation, which will be in 2 weeks, really. Yeah, like in 2 weeks. Not this coming Sunday, but the next Sunday. I'm going to really be into it. But let's go. We got a lot to talk about. Let's go. All right, so we come back where we left off, which is where Zay has left the building. He has been evicted, the first evictee of the season. Zach is in his confessionals, boo-hoo crying. Boo-hoo crying in that DR. I'm like, talking about something he felt like he lost a brother. I'm like, you've known that man a week. A week. It is not that deep. But Rachel was sitting there smirking and laughing, obviously, because Zay is gone. He was coming for her. She was like, you should learn to never come for the queen. But Vince, he's feeling vulnerable now because he realizes that he now knows that he's in the minority. Like, his side of the house is not the majority. So he now realizes now I don't have any protection either. So now I got to figure out what I'm doing. But Kelley is... she's the type of quirk that I would not get along with. She's an odd one. She is an odd one. She goes into, I want to say it was it was the gym room. She goes in there, gets on her knees, and it's like, I did it. Just weird. Just weird. I'm like, something's not right with her. It's like the way she's acting, you would have thought she got put up on that block against her will. And just like completely fought for her life to not go home. Like the way she was acting, you would have thought that she was the one that was going to get voted out unanimously, did not have a shot. Like she didn't literally throw her own self out there to be on the block. She literally gave Vince that option to throw her up. Her winning and acting like she was about to go home. Like what? It's just weird. I'm not a fan of her. I'm not a fan of her, honestly. I'm not. But she then states that she has to get out her target. She states this in her DR that she's trying to get out Rachel because Rachel's played twice. She's already won before she needs her out, which is why she sided with the boys. I know a lot of the fans are not a fan of her because of that. I know a lot of Big Brother fans cannot stand when a woman sides with the boys, which I mean, I get why. Because she's a weirdo. She's one of those ones. But Keanu and Rylie, they're in there having a conversation, and Keanu's trying to get in his head and figure out and talk game, honestly, because he's trying to figure out, because he worked with Zay. I say he was trying to get in his head. No, he was trying to get his head in the game because he already knew that Rylie was working with Zay as well, and obviously Zay leaving. He's like, I want you to get your head back in the game. But what he doesn't know is that Rylie voted with the girls. He voted Zay out. But he then tells Amy that she had his vote. So Rylie telling Amy that you have my vote, I'm going to vote for you to stay, I'm going to kick him out. And he was like, I mean, I had to stick to my word. Amy promised him safety, and he knows that comes with Rachel, basically. Him voting to keep Amy is going to put in a good word for him with Rachel, who he now knows, who he knows in general, is a comp beast. She's won the show before. He's pretty much trying to set himself up to where it's like, okay, well, if I make this move, Rachel is very likely to possibly win an HOH. So if she wins the HOH, I know she's not going to come for me because I actually voted to keep her number one in the game. So that's what he's thinking. And he's telling us this. He didn't tell this to Keanu. But he then states that he is not telling anybody. Yeah, he's telling us this, that he voted for Amy and he plans to stay low. As he literally stated that he pulled Ashley and Rachel into the in the storage room, and pretty much tells them that he voted for Amy after he just said he wasn't going to tell nobody. But he told them, which I feel like is going to be okay. I'm trying to remember what happened, but he told them that. He tells them that he wants to work with them for the rest of the game, and they have to protect him. Like, please protect me. And they promise to do so. You know, anybody can say that they're going to promise to keep you safe. there's always a time limit with that. But Rachel's obviously happy because that's numbers on her side. And him doing that, I understand why he did that, because he realized that he is no longer in the majority. At least he thought in the moment that he was with the boys, but he realizes, no, I'm not. So I made the right move being on the right side. So at this point, let me just stick over here and hope that some shit can work out for me and get me a couple weeks in. But Amy, she's in the room with Jimmy, Rachel, Lauren, and Catherine, and they're talking about how Rylie had pretty much voted to keep her. So there's more people now that know that he voted for Amy to stay. And Jimmy ends up pretty much asking and telling her at the same time, like, Kelley voted to evict you. And they know that it was her. They know it was Adrian, Zach, Keanu, and Will that had voted to evict her as well. Catherine, who is a ghost, I got to watch the feeds, but I'm glad she's not getting the camera time that she, I guess, wants or needs, because I don't like how she comes for Ashley. But she then asks if she thinks that it was Will. And she then states, too, that she doesn't know, and this is Amy, she doesn't know if it was Will. She's like, it could have been him, but I don't know if it was him. It was. He was one of the ones. But they then state that the line is pretty much drawn in the sand between the certain sides of the house. And Jimmy then states that we just need to make sure that somebody on our side wins HOH. So Will, we see him talking to Keanu about the 5 numbers, the 5 votes that were against Amy to go home. And they're trying to figure out who that other number was that did not vote, because they already had the numbers and they thought that they had the numbers. Obviously, somebody did not go through with the plan to evict Amy because Amy's still here and Zay is not. So Keanu then states that Kelley was one of those numbers in their favor. Will does not believe it. He's like, no, because I was the 5th vote. I was the one. So they start going through the numbers. And Will was like, I'm the 5th vote, not Kelley. Both of y'all are. Y'all just don't know. Y'all just don't know that Rylie was the one that was not the one that with y'all. But Keanu then says that I believe you, but we got to figure out who it was that did not do it, which, like I just stated, was Rylie. But Will then says, like, if I win HOH, it's going to be Rachel and Amy on the block. Will walks out, and Keanu tells us that he does not believe Will because the girls, basically talking about Rachel and Amy, have been pulling at his heartstrings with the whole parent shit, with them all being parents. Keanu think he got shit figured out, and he really don't. He really don't. Everybody thinks they got shit figured out, but they really don't. But Kelley, she's in there now with Keanu, and she's swearing that she voted. She's swearing that she voted for Zay because Keanu is pretty much like, swear to God, swear to me that you did not vote to send Zay out. And she's like, no, I didn't vote to send him out. Which she didn't vote to send him out. So Keanu then tells her, like, Will's out here trying to make it seem like you're the one that flipped to vote out Zay, and I'm not dumb. You are dumb because Will's not. Well, Will is lying. Well, I don't want to say he's lying because he don't know. Kelley isn't the one that voted out Zay, but you're not right thinking that Will voted him out too, because he didn't. Like, y'all just don't realize that Rylie is the one that did it. Y'all all 3 did vote out Amy, but Rylie didn't. But of course, they're not thinking about it. But Keanu then goes to Rylie and asks him if he did vote out Amy, and Rylie was like, yeah, I did. Keanu didn't press any harder at all. So he then states to him that Will didn't vote with them. And Adrian is sitting there as well. And Adrian tells us in his DR, like, what proof do you even have to even state that Will is the one that did not vote the way that we said that we was going to vote? And he's basically like, now is not the time to be pointing fingers. Like, your gameplay is sloppy, which it is. Adrian is right. But Will is now upstairs talking to Adrian and Ava. And Adrian then tells Will that Keanu stated that Will had flipped. And Will had me weak because Will was hot as fish grease. Got up so quick, went downstairs. This is why I love this cast, because first of all, they can't shut up. Like, they cannot shut up. They always running their mouth. And when I say they can't shut up, they always talking too much. They state too much to too many people. And not only that, they're very reactive, which is good TV. It is amazing. That's why I'm enjoying this season, because it's good TV. The gameplay is very sloppy, but it's giving us mess. It's giving us entertainment. So Will goes running downstairs, hot as fish grease, and he goes in the room with Kelley. And he pretty much asks if anybody had stated that he had voted to keep Amy. Adrian comes in. Ava was trying to walk in too, but then the door shut, and she's usually her kind of like, should I go in? Should I go? I love her. She is so funny to me. But she doesn't go in. So it's Adrian, Kelley, and Will in there. And Kelley was like, I don't want this to come out of my mouth, but Keanu's the one that said it. I said, they are so messy. Like, what is with this cast? So Adrian's trying to calm Will down because Will is hot. He is pissed. And Will's trying to calm him down. And he says, like, just know what he's doing. Just realize what he's doing. We got to win HOH. That's really all it comes down to. Zach comes in the room when Kelley leaves, and he was like, I don't trust Keanu either. Like, they know Keanu is out here just running his mouth, moving mad around the house. But Will then says that he don't like him stating that he flipped. Obviously, who wants their name being talked about like that in the game? But they all pretty much tell Will, keep your cool, and he's like, I'm trying to. Because you can tell Will want to go in there and cuss his ass out, and I want to see it. But then again, I don't want to see it because I'm rooting for Will. I don't want him to ruin his game. But the hotel Mystere alert starts going off. It's getting dark. Something was broken into. Everybody's running around. They're starting to see that things are missing. Vince then comes in with the letter, pretty much telling them all to gather around. And they have a BB police bulletin that is telling them that the HOH key and 3 mystery powers, I put up for it, 3 mystery powers were stolen from the safes. The HOH, they have to go pretty much scour through all these sewers to track down the HOH keys and the 3 mystery powers in pitch black. It is dark. There's tunnels. It looks like there's water. I'm hoping it's water and not sewer shit. But they have to go find these keys and they have to go find the 3 powers in the HOH keys. So once they feel like they have found them, they have to place it on this dumbwaiter. It then rises if it's correct. And if they find the HOH keys, they are the HOH. If they get the mystery power, they're the mystery power owner. And it could help them later in the game. Vince cannot play in the HOH, but he can also play to actually find a mystery power. So they all get ready to go play. They get dressed. We go ahead and get started. The first person to find the power is who? Keanu. I said, of course. Of course. Which I'm happy he did, though. Because I want the big players to be the one to find. And when I say the big players, the ones that are actually active in making the show entertaining. I want them to find powers. Because it's going to make it even more entertaining. Jimmy finds the HOH keys. I say, I want a crazy week. I said, the way you've been acting, I want a crazy week. I want something wild. So he's the HOH. Mickey ends up getting hurt. She gets her power, which I wish Mickey would have been smarter with it. Because she went and got her power, and as she got her power, she was pretty much talking to Zach at that moment. But she went and put her power in, and she's jumping up and down, trying to be quiet, but also just trying to contain her happiness because she just won. But she doesn't want to celebrate because she doesn't want anybody knowing, but she just was pretty much talking around Zach before she put it in there. So obviously somebody smart is going to put 2 and 2 together. But Jimmy's helping Kelley find the last power because he wants to know who has one. So obviously if he helps her, he knows that she has one. Zach, I forgot to mention, we'll get to it. But Keanu, when he won his power, he's over there trying to help Zach find the power, which is stupid too, but we'll get to it. But Jimmy, like I said, he's helping Kelley. He says his first duty as the HOH is to find out who got these powers, as you should. But Rachel, she ended up having 2 powers in her hands at one time, but she couldn't get to the station quick enough because you can't take both of them at once. So she's upset that she didn't even get a power because the powers have all been taken by Kelley, Keanu, and Mickey. So she's upset, but she's also happy that Jimmy had won HOH because they're working together at this point. She feels like she's going to be good, and she feels like he's going to go for people that would actually want her out of the house. I do believe that as well because they're both pretty much aligned when it comes to the people that want Rachel out. He wants them out as well. So they head back into the house. Everybody's excited that Jimmy has won. And when I say everybody's excited, face value excited, the girls are obviously excited because he's working with the girls. So like Jimmy had stated, he wants to know who got these powers. That's his first duty as HOH. He wants to find out who's got the powers so he can work around them. Keanu knows that this is not best case scenario for him. Jimmy is his arch nemesis, and he knows with him being a HOH, it's a large possibility that he's going to be on that block. But Zach feels like he's okay because they had that heavy hitters alliance. But we see Jimmy. Jimmy's going through asking everybody who got a power. He goes to Rylie, asks. He's like, I know Kelley got a power because I was literally right next to her when she got it. So he starts running around asking everybody. He ends up asking Mickey if she has it. She lies to him and tells him no. I would have done the same thing. He then states that I know you would tell me if you had it, and whoever's lying about this power just earned themselves a one-way ticket to that block. I said, oh, shit. Because you know she's going to be sitting there thinking, because it's like they had that alliance, that little trio alliance that they have with Morgan. But I'm glad she didn't do it because, like I stated, whenever they created it, you could tell Jimmy made that alliance with her as her being the plus one. Because I feel like out of the three of them, if he was to choose, it would have been Morgan. I wouldn't tell him anything, even if we're in an alliance. I would not even tell my ace boon coon, my number one. I wouldn't tell them. I wouldn't. You would know whenever it happens. It's not your business. I wouldn't tell you. But Keanu, he ends up heading into the DR to find out what his power is. So his power is called the competitor power, which I was trying to figure out. If you follow the feeds, you already know. If you follow everything that's been going on, you already know what happened with the veto. So I was trying to figure out how this happened because whenever the veto BB updates, whenever they dropped that tweet, because I got my notifications on, when I saw who won, I said, what? I was like, surely this is not true. But we'll get to it on Wednesday. I don't want to spoil it for people that don't already know. But he finds himself, if he finds himself on the block, this power doubles his chances to win the veto because this power gets a mystery competitor, which happens to be a former house guest, who will then come in and play as the sixth player in the veto, and they'll get to both compete in the veto, which basically, if that player wins, the former house guest, if they win the veto, that veto is his. So he either wins it or they win it, he wins the veto. So his chances are doubled at this point, which is a good power. It's a good power. To use his power, he got to activate it before they start picking players. So he starts thinking of the comp beasts that he potentially wants in there, which is Michael, Casey, and Cody. Those are the ones that are named. You can tell he probably is a recent viewer because those are recent house guests. But Keanu, he then asked Kelley if she got a power. And she was like, yeah. I'm like, why are y'all telling each other all y'all? Like, why are they telling who got powers? But he then tells her that he did too. And they agreed to not tell anybody. Do y'all think that happened? I said, because they both cannot hold water. But Kelley then says that she hopes that he'll use his power on her, at least in her favor. Why would he use it in your favor? Why? But Jimmy comes in and Kelley asks to talk to him. Guess what they do? They go into a room and guess what she does? She tells him that Keanu has a power. I said, this damn cast cannot hold water. But Jimmy then tells her, like, I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you got a power too. But Jimmy then asks her if she thinks that Keanu has I told y'all that she told him that Keanu had a power. She told him that she told Keanu that she had a power, which is stupid. Because Jimmy, I was waiting on Jimmy to clock it because Jimmy clocked it. Jimmy states that because when he asked her if Keanu had a power, because he thinks that he has one, she stated that she doesn't know. But Jimmy tells us in his DR that he was wondering why she would even tell Keanu that she had a power, because at that point, it makes me think that you're working with him. Even though he was already suspicious of that, that pretty much confirmed it. He's not wrong because that's exactly what's happening. Even though she's claiming that she's working to him working with him as face value, you still done told him a good enough amount of information, which why would you tell him that? Because you're working with him. She's sloppy. She's a sloppy game player too. But Zach then tells Morgan that he thinks that Mickey has a power because, like I stated earlier, he heard her voice when that one power got locked and it got shot up in the air. So obviously that's going to tell you that somebody had a power, and if you hear her voice over there, it's kind of hard. It's kind of easy to put two and two together and realize that it's her. But Zach then tells Morgan as well that he thinks Keanu has one because he pretty much kind of went to helping him finding a power, and it's like, at this point, why would you do that? Unless you already have one yourself, because shouldn't you be looking for one? Why would you want to help me if you don't have one? So Kelley then heads into the DR to find out what her power is. Hers is the veto power. What she can do, she can change the nominations after the veto meeting. So she will play in a solo mystery veto, and if she wins, she'll get a second veto that she can use to either save herself or an ally. And once used, the HOH will then have to rename another nomination, and that power expires once jury begins. That is a good one. Out of all three, that's the one that I would have wanted. I would have wanted Mickey's if it had a different, we'll get to it, but we're going to get to it now. Mickey then tells Morgan that she has a power, which I'm like, here we go. But Morgan loves that Mickey trusts her. And did I write Mickey's down? I think I did. I think it's right here. Okay, so Morgan loves that Mickey trusts her enough to tell her, I got a power. So Mickey then tells Morgan, because of their triple threat alliance, that's why she wanted to tell her. Hold on, y'all. I'm all over the place, y'all. But Mickey, she then gets her power details. Hers is the HOH interrogation. I'm like, when they first started telling the rules, I was like, okay, I would like this. But once we got to the end, I was like, oh, hell no. She can anonymously dethrone the HOH for the week, which I was like, boom, love it, love it. So the dethroned HOH can interrogate to find out who's responsible for the dethroning of the HOH. After the interrogations, they will then make an official guess. If they are correct, they get their HOH powers back, which then exposes her. That I would not like. That I would not like. Also, if they get it wrong, she can take over fully, but she has to announce that she's the new HOH. And then that power expires before jury. I was like, no, that's not fair either way. Because regardless, her cards are going to be shown. Because if they don't, so let me read it back again. So after the interrogations, they make a guess, and if they answer it correctly, the HOH powers, they get their HOH powers back, which is going to expose her. So if they get it right and they guess it is her, now you have blood on your hands because you stole their HOH essentially. So now that makes you even more of a target. And then not only that, if they answer it wrong, you take over and you still tell that you are the HOH. So now you just dethrone this person who now has a reason to come back for you. So I'm like, either way, she's fucked. She's fucked either way. But she tells Morgan what the power is. Morgan's happy, obviously. She then states she's not going to tell us, so we'll see. But Mickey then says that she doesn't want to tell Jimmy because she doesn't want him to be upset because she wasn't honest with him the first time he had asked her. But she then states, I didn't tell him because I'm playing my game, not his. I said, I know that's right. That's right, Mickey. But Jimmy, he's upstairs in HOH with pretty much damn near everybody up there. He got Vince up there, Lauren, Amy, Catherine, Ashley, Rachel, Mickey, Zach. They all up there. And he's telling them, if y'all know anything that anybody has the power, tell me because I want to know. I know Kelley got one. So he then states that he doesn't know about Keanu. He doesn't trust anything that comes out of his mouth. Morgan then says if she was the HOH, Keanu would have been her target. But Jimmy then says that I'm doing this. Essentially, he tells us that he's pretty much asking them to get a feel of where their head is in terms of Keanu because he wants to put him up, and that's his target. So Jimmy then states that he wasn't lying about coming for Keanu. Like, I told you I was coming for him, and I am. And Zach then mentions how Keanu was helping him look for powers. And he's like, why would you do that if you didn't already have one? It's valid. Rachel was like, yeah, you're right. But almost all of them pretty much agree to wanting to get Keanu out. We'll see if that follows through. Jimmy then says that he wants a clean week. Like I said last week when it came to Vince, me personally, if it does not benefit my game, I'm not giving you what you want. I might tell you to your face that I will, but I'm not. I'm not. If it doesn't benefit me, if Keanu staying in the game, which if I was in the game, I would want him to stay in the game. Because if he ain't coming for me, he ain't a problem for me. He's a shield. Because you want him in the game, okay, go for him. Go for him. I'm going to skate all the way to the end. What you mean? But Jimmy, he's now in the HOH room with just Kelley. And he's asking Kelley if she trusts him. And she says yes, obviously. But he then says, I know that you're close with Keanu. She states that she wants Keanu to think that she's working with him. And she wants it to stay that way. So when it comes to Kelley, I don't know for sure if she really is working with Keanu for the long haul. I feel like Kelley is doing what is going to get Kelley to the end. That's what I think. So she could be telling the truth. But Jimmy then says that I know, but I just don't. But don't tell him that I'm stating this to you because it will then break our trust. We know Kelley can't hold water, so I wouldn't be shocked if she eventually does. But Jimmy then tells us that he's considering putting her up because she is a wild card and he wants to flush that power out that she has. Smart. But he then tells her that Keanu is his biggest target and he wants to put people up that'll make sure that he is gone and everybody else essentially that is up on the block against him is a pawn. So she's like, I mean, I can take myself off again. And I'm like, dumb. Because like me personally, if I was in her position and she has the best power in my opinion, I wouldn't want my power flushed that soon. And it's like, you could tell she wants to use that power immediately. I'm like, you got it until jury at the if I'm going to use the power, it's going to be the week before jury. But I'm going to try and execute such a strong social game that I don't even have to touch that block. And if I don't have to use that power, I don't have to use it. But she's so gung-ho about putting herself up there on the block. I'm like, okay, don't start acting a fool like you did last time. But Jimmy then goes and tells Adrian the same thing that he had pretty much told Kelley. But Adrian's not stupid like Kelley. But he then tells him that he's considering putting him up as well. Lauren and Rylie, those are options as pawns because everybody loves him in the house. Pretty much telling him, I feel like nobody will vote y'all out. Just because that's what you feel doesn't mean that we know what happens with pawns. Regardless of how liked you are at the end of the week, come Thursday, they could be out that door. Because anybody thinking, okay, well, you're well liked. Okay, well, then you're probably going to beat me in the end because somebody would actually vote for you because they actually like you. So I'm going to have to throw you out of here. I would think that way if I was voting. But Adrian obviously prefers that he would prefer not to be nominated. And he tells him that. Jimmy then states that nothing is set in stone. Adrian tells us that he does not want to be a pawn. Like, he does not want to be a pawn. He saw what happened with Kelley where she almost went home. And he's like, at this point, this is a chicken move. Like, there are bigger fish to fry, which he's not lying about. We then get to the nominations. Jimmy nominates Kelley, Adrian, and Keanu, just as he pretty much stated. Rachel's face had me laughing. But he then says he says Kelley would use the veto to mess up his nominations, which I can see her doing it. Adrian, he lets everybody know that that's his pawn. Keanu, he says you went around telling people, and as he's talking, Keanu was putting his shades on, leaning back like he falling asleep. Hilarious. These two, I don't know. They beef is funny to me. But he tells Keanu, you went around telling people what they want to hear. You sitting here lying instead of taking accountability. You threw other people under the bus to save yourself. He did throw people under the bus. And he said your game, this was his funniest line. He been trying so hard to have a moment. This was a little funny one. I chuckled a little bit. He said your gameplay is so full of shit the toilet is jealous. Rachel was laughing. And I was laughing with her. I said, this cast is a mess. A mess. Y'all, I was talking so fast, I just could not get on I could not follow my notes. I was too energized. This episode was funny to me. It was so funny to me. This cast is delivering. I'm excited for Wednesday to see what happened for real with this veto. Thumbs up the video if you haven't already. Drop your comments down below. Subscribe if you're new. Share the video. And I'll see y'all on Wednesday. Peace.